Now let's start the next unit or next chapter of business statistics. So next topic of discussion will be correlation. Okay, so this is our new unit or next fresh unit of business statistics in which we are going to discuss all the concept of correlation with its theoretical understanding and also with the numerical understanding. We will also solve the question of correlation. First, let's understand the meaning of correlation. What is basically correlation is? So, correlation is a statistical technique similar to the central tendency and dispersion. It is also a statistical technique in which we ascertain the association or the relationship between two or more variables. When we have to identify or we have to check the relationship among the variables, we use correlation. So we can check the relationship between two or more than two variables with the help of correlation. So variable can be dependent variable and it can be independent variable. So it is very important for calculating correlation among the variables that data should be in quantitative data. So the scale which is used for collection, or you can say the data set is used, is of continuous scale. The data set for applying a statistical technique of correlation, the data must be in continuous, it must be a continuous data. Okay, so it check the association or relationship among the variable. It can be two variable or it can be more than two variable. So when we check the correlation among the variables, then there should be minimum two variables. Okay, if there is one variable, we cannot check the correlation. So correlation analysis basically is a statistical technique or an statistical analysis to study the degree and the direction of relationship among the two or more variables. Okay, we can check how fit the data is. So for checking the correlation, we can also actually we can check correlation with the diagrammatical representation and with numerical representation also. Okay, so we can check correlation by both the method. In earlier, in later lectures, we will discuss both the methods of correlation, graphical method and the numerical method. So there are two methods, scattered plot diagram and the graphical method. And there are some numerical method also for measuring correlation among the variables. So as we can study that in today's era or in today's business world, we came across many activities which involve or which are dependent on each other. Okay, so in business, we see large number of problems involving the use of two or more variables. So we have to identify these variables and its dependency basically help us to resolve many problems. So many times there are problems or situation where two variables seems to be moved on the same direction, such as both are increasing or you can say both are decreasing. And it can be also possible that these two variables can be moving towards the opposite direction. Suppose one variable is increasing and another variable is decreasing. So it can be anything. It can move towards the same direction or it can move towards the opposite direction. Uh, for example, family income and expenditure or price of a product and its demand you can say the advertisement expenditure and sales volume, etc. These type of example we can consider in which both the variables move towards the same direction. Okay, if the family income increases, then the expenditure also increases. Okay, if the price of the product increase, the demand will also increase. If the if any company or business uh, spend more amount on advertisement of a product, then its sales volume, chance of increasing its sales volume also higher. So if two quantities vary in such a way that movement in one are compared or accompanied by the movement of the other variable. So these quantities are said to be correlated. Okay, so when they are related to each other with the effect of one, another other one is also affecting, then they can we can say they are correlated with each other. So if we talk about the variables, so variable can be dependent. Okay, it can be dependent or it can be independent. We can also say that the data we used for calculating correlation, it should be normally distributed. It should be normally distributed or nearly normally distributed. Okay, it should be normally distributed or nearly normally distributed data, so that we can apply correlation on the data. Okay, so if we have to know about the use of correlation, what is the use of correlation? So basically, correlation helps in identify the degree and the direction of relationship between the two variables. So with the help of correlation, we can identify the direction and degree of two or more variables. So the effect of correlation is to basically reduce the range of uncertainty of our prediction. Basically, the prediction basically based on correlation analysis will be more reliable and near to reality. When correlation analysis uh, need to be understand the economic behavior, which is locality, the critical importance of variables other than the dependency, which is revealed by the economist. So in economic theory and in business study, show the relationship between the variables like price and quantity, demand, advertisement expenditure, and sales promotion, etc. So these measure of coefficient of correlation, basically relative measure of changes. Okay, so there are the use of correlation is in every direction and in every field. Okay, so if we have to talk about the definition of this correlation, we can say that so correlation, when two or more quantities vary in the sympathy, so that movement in one trend can be accompanied by the movement of the other one. You can say correlation analysis attempt to determine the degree of relationship between the variables. Okay, it identify the relationship between two or more variables which can be dependent and independent variable, and which should be in quantitative terms, and the data which we take for calculating and for identifying the correlation among the variable, that should be normally distributed. Okay, if it is not normally distributed data, then it should be nearly normally distributed data. So this is the meaning and definition of correlation. Now let's understand the importance of correlation basically. So, if we talk about the importance of correlation, then correlation help in identifying the relationship among the variables. It helps in predictive analysis. It's help in risk management. It helps in research and experiment, as various researchers use correlation analysis in their research. It is a data reduction method. It is a quality control. It helps in medical research, and it is also helpful in various other uh, fields like in policy formulation, in investigation. It is used in every field. In most of the field, the use of correlation is very common. So we can say that the study of correlation basically show the direction and degree of relation between the variables, as it is very helpful in understanding the economic behavior. This is helpful in studying various factors by which economic events are affected. It helps in the result which we various researcher calculate with the help of correlation also help in policy formulation to the policy maker. If we talk about the identifying the relationship, we can say that correlation helps in identifying and quantifying the relationship between the variables. Like in finance, understanding the correlation between different assets can help in portfolio management. Okay. Similarly, in economics, identifying the demand of a product helps in its supply. So this is how it helps in identifying the relationship. Next is predictive analysis. So correlation can basically indicate that which variable are likely to useful in prediction. So it also helpful in predicting more predictive modeling, as a high correlation between a predictor variable and outcome variable, you can say dependent variable and independent variable, suggests that the predictor could be useful in a predictive model. So when we use correlation among the two variables, it can suggest various outcomes. The result which we calculate by applying correlation suggest various results which further help in various type of formulation. Next is risk management. This basically in the fields like finance and insurance, correlation helps in understanding crucial risk management. Okay, so like if there are two assets which are highly correlated with each other, the risk of having them both in a portfolio need to be managed carefully. So it is very important to identify the risk or the correlation of the risk among the two variables so that they can be used more carefully and managed more carefully. Next, in research and experiment. So, in scientific research, correlation analysis helps in formulating hypotheses. If there are two variables which are correlated, one is independent and one is dependent, it can lead to further investigation into whether there is a causal relationship between the variables or not. So when we formulate hypothesis and we run the test of correlation for identifying the hypothesis or result, so we can see that it can lead an investigator into a further into a further conclusion that there is a causal relationship between the variables or not. Next is data reduction. So I have already told you that when we have to apply a correlation, the data should be normally distributed data. So data we take for correlation, that should be normally distributed or nearly normally distributed. So basically, correlation can be used in technical techniques like PCA, which is principal component analysis for data reduction. It is highly correlated variable and can sometimes combine to reduce the complexity of data without losing much information. Next is quality control. So, correlation also helpful in quality control, as in manufacturing and processing control. Correlation analysis help in identifying the relationship between the process input and output. Basically, this can help or this can lead to improve the quality and efficiency of the manufacturing and process control. Next is medical research. So, in medical research, correlation helps in understanding the relationship between different and various health indicators and their treatment, their outcoming, which leading to better treatment plans and understanding the diseases. These are the some importance of using correlation in various fields.